So is the mic on?
Yeah, it is.
Good morning, everybody. So glad to see everybody. It's a special day. We have Reverend Andy here, and we have the full 360 band. So that's great news. And if you're new today, please let us know, and you can pick up a packet in the back. Or if you just want to do it without telling anybody, you can just grab a packet and take a look and see what we're about. But if you want to have a tour of our grounds, we have beautiful grounds that are kept up by our landscape team. And so feel free to reach any of us, in service, and we'll give you a tour. And then also wanted to welcome everybody in terms of, we have a lot of classes coming up. And so you have an insert, and Lori's going to speak to this in the announcements, but you do have an insert to take a look at to see what all the classes are coming up. So we encourage you to take a look at that. So we want to thank all the members of the team who are involved in today's service. But at this point, I invite you to silence your cell phone. And then also, we're going to wave to the camera to those online. We have YouTube, we have Facebook Live, we have a podcast. Can't see anybody on the podcast, but wave to the camera, wave to your neighbor, enjoy each other, look each other in the eyes, give a sweet smile, and know that we are all here together in community. So we're going to invite the 360 band to open us up with a nice song. Here we go.
Okay. Our intention was to have words that you could follow along, and even if you didn't want to sing, there's the la-las you'll be able to catch on, but technical issues, so it's not projecting. Sorry. This is, years ago, we had Charlie Tweet, a singer-songwriter, come up and do a thing, and this was one of his songs. Life on the planet is fun.
Life on the planet, it's fun. You don't have to try to be anyone, 'cause you are already. Yes, you are who you are already. And true love's so much fun, are you ready? And we are all one, are you ready?
Here's your part.
No, just kick back and feel what's right here. The only thing you were afraid of was fear, and it's gone already. If you say so, it's gone already. And true love's so much fun, are you ready? And we are all one, are you ready? All right.
Now.
La 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 la. La 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 la. Now you've seen the truth from within. A memory gone now comes back again. And you know who you are already. You're the truth, you're the life already. And true love's so much fun, are you ready? And we are all one and we're ready. It's your part. La 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 la. Oh, life on the planet is fun, and I don't have to try to be anyone, 'cause I am already. Yes, I am who I am already. And true love's so much fun, and I'm ready. And we are all one, and I'm ready. Here we go again. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Yes, life on the planet, it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite Lori Barnes up to do the announcements and also do the reading. But as she's coming up, I wanted to point out the signs in the back of the sanctuary. It says Seva, which is selfless service to spirit or to God. And so these are opportunities to sign up for areas that you would like to give some of your time to this center to help keep it looking pristine and clean and beautiful grounds. So we just invite you to at least take a look at that and see if anything moves you. So Lori, come on up.
So today we have the expressive art class with Bobby Copeland. There are still spaces available, so you can pay at the door today. And then this coming Friday, August 28th, is our open mic night from 7 to 9 p.m. here in the sanctuary. Next Saturday, on August 29th, we have a Sage workshop with Reverend Sue and Reverend Lisa from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. in the social hall. Next Sunday, August 30th, we will have CPR with AED in the social hall from 11:45 a.m. is the check-in time. If you want to get the card, you do have to pre-register. We have play tickets available for Grave Mistakes. It's our annual Riverfront Playhouse buyout, and it's a spooky rom-com. And this is a fundraiser for the center. It's on Wednesday, September 16th, and you're invited to bring, is it sweet and savory, Diana? Either sweet or savory, food to have for fun before the play. So the food portion starts at 7 and the play itself starts at 7:30. And there are tickets available with Roy at the board desk, or you can purchase them from me or Jen in the office during the week. We do have more Science of Mind magazines available for purchase in the bookstore, and they are for September and October. So if you are participating in the Science of Mind study group, or you just want to buy one for yourself, you can now do so. And that, I believe, is all of the announcements. And then today's reading is chosen by Reverend Andy. What the mystics have taught. Mystics have all sensed an identical reality, and their testimony is in no way confusing because the creative spirit has meted out the same truths. Mystics look into the heart of nature. They read God's law, and they court the divine presence. They have told us of the marvelous relationship which exists between God and humanity, all living things, and of a close union that cannot be broken through walking with Spirit and talking with Spirit. The mystics include the great creatives, prophets, the inspired writers, and the illumined souls of all ages. What we continue to receive from mystics constitutes the greatest intellectual and spiritual heritage of the ages.
Please join with me as we allow the sound of the bell to penetrate deep within, waking up the knowing that we are spirit, that we are part of the one spirit, the one love that's always present. And that as we awaken to this knowing inside ourselves, we are inspired to be all that we can be, to know our truth at the deepest level, that we are love, we are creative, we are inspired, and to know that we are all connected by the one. So today I allow this to deepen even more fully as I listen and we listen to Reverend Andy's inspired talk, knowing that we are all here together in community to serve and to grow and to be the highest and best that we can be, and to be there for others, to be in community, not just community here, but community for the world. And so as we allow this energy that's always present to tap into our individual souls, we allow this to be the inspiration to move forward and to grow with love. So giving great thanks, I release these words and this prayer into law. And together we say, and so it is. And Reverend Andy, so glad to see you.
Thank you. I want to thank Reverend Lisa for having me here, for asking me to be here. And so, thank you. Wow. Hello, hello. Is that it? Oh my God. We just saw magic. Summer magic. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me here. I wanted to thank Reverend Lisa for inviting me here. Now, before I get started this morning, I have to ask a really super important question of all of you. So some of you are going to have to help me out with this. So in terms of the Harry Potter stories, we had these three individuals that we kind of follow through those stories. We have Harry Potter, we have Ron Weasley, and then we have a young lady, I've always struggled with her first name, how you pronounce it. What is it? Hermione. No. Hermione. Okay, that's why I struggled. Okay, so if I struggle again, just remind me. So Hermione. Okay, all right. So within religious science and now what's called Centers for Spiritual Living, one of the things that all of us, I think, that who are involved, and to whatever degree you're involved, pretty soon we start to develop a really interesting relationship with our teachers. It's wonderful to obtain over time relationships with different teachers we have and different ideas. I know my very first teacher was a lady by the name of Alice Ross, who, I took her classes. I mean, the first time I ever I went into a Center for Spiritual Living or a Church of Religious Science. I signed up for classes that very week, and I got in there with Alice, and I didn't understand what she was talking about for a lot of months, but I was there. It was so interesting to me, what caught my attention. And so I've been thinking this week, or last couple of weeks, a lot about teachers. And the person who founded religious science with his writings was Earnest Holmes. And the thing that I loved about Earnest Holmes is through his writings, which I've struggled with a lot at first, and sometimes I still do because he was such an amazing writer, a thick writer, wrote in the old ways, which are so beautiful and so gorgeous and so poetic and so intellectual, and they pull you in. And they're those pithy ideas that we have to kind of chew on for a while, and then we think about it for a week or so. Oh my God, that's what it is, right? But the thing about Holmes that I picked up on right away, that I really enjoyed about him, was the idea that he was someone who, according to the biographies, he was considered to be the human question mark. He questioned everything. And he doesn't talk much about this. He doesn't attribute a lot in terms of his writings to his teachers. He reveals a few, but in his biographical material, we find out that he had quite a library of his own for that time. And so the reason that I wanted to understand the word Hermine, is that right? Hermione? Hermione, okay. The reason I wanted to understand Hermione is because a lot of times the way that I look at ideas, spiritual ideas or spiritual teachings or anything like that is I tend to want to turn it into an archetype. And I was thinking about the archetype of Earnest Holmes. Who would Earnest Holmes have been? And I think Earnest Holmes would be Hermione. Because in the Harry Potter stories, we have Harry Potter, who is that Shakespearean tragic figure who's the Messiah, and he doesn't want to be the Messiah, and he's supposed to be leading, and he's carrying the weight of everything on his back, and he really can't enjoy Hogwarts the way the rest of us would. I mean, wouldn't you love to run around Hogwarts? You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't you love to live there? But he can't really enjoy it because he's got all this stuff going on. Then we have Ron Weasley, and Ron Weasley is a guy, he's a kid who grew up and everyone in his family was an altar boy. So he thought he had to be an altar boy too. So he was kind of begrudgingly going along with it. But Hermione was someone who had a passion, a deep sense of wonder, a deep sense of magic. She wasn't supposed to be there. She wasn't supposed to come to Hogwarts. She had no legacy whatsoever, but she came into it. And we would say in religious science and metaphysics, she came into it by right of consciousness. She was curious. She was, and she couldn't get enough of it, and she questioned it. And sometimes she could be difficult on teachers, and sometimes she was very opinionated. But she had this incredible eidetic memory. She had an encyclopedia memory, and she took everything in. And I imagine Earnest Holmes being that same way, taking everything in. And we know by the biography material that he started out and he developed an affinity for Christianity. Now, obviously in his life, he exposed himself to all kinds of ideas. Western traditions, Eastern traditions, probably tribal traditions, to whatever extent he could explore those. But Christianity meant a lot to him because it was centered on the idea of Jesus. And so the first thing that caught his attention was that when he was a kid, his mom, he lived in a situation that was rather meager in terms of finances, what we might call impoverished in some ways. His dad was a labor type of person, struggled sometimes. There was a really big family. Earnest Holmes was the youngest of a whole bunch of kids. And so in terms of those days, he was born in the very end of the 19th century. And so his mother would entertain her kids at night by reading Bible stories to them. And he was caught up in the stories. And I think right away, his mind went to metaphor, it went to archetype, it went to meaning. And right away, for some reason, he began to internalize, what does this mean to me specifically? And so that began his journey. And so what you heard this morning in that reading about what the mystics taught, and this is something that it's in the chapter of the Science of Mind book, and I love that chapter, and it was one of the chapters that inspired me the most, because I think about the magic and the mystery of the mystics and where they were, the great halls and libraries and the great schools of thought and all those kinds of things. And so in terms of mystics, and Earnest Holmes gave us the definition of who that person is, and I want to add on to that with the back end of this reading that was read already this morning. And this is just a couple of sentences that leads me into the direction I want to go. So Holmes says, "Who are the mystics? They are not mysterious, but are those who have a deep sense of life with a capital L, and their unity with a capital U with the whole. How might such people have been taught these things? By what process of mentality did they arrive at their profound conclusions?" Now, so I want to be for full transparency, Earnest Holmes went on in a lot of his writings, and he felt that people, the mystics, the great mystics that we can all a lot of us have that mystic list in our heads, who we consider to be mystics. And so what he talked about, he says they were people that really didn't need any education. They had the ability to look into the presence of life and spirit and see it for what it was, and be able to harvest these great revelations in a way that we don't understand. And I respect that. I think that Hermione, what she had in terms of her idea as the archetype, is what she had her curiosity, she had her passion, she had her drive. She wanted to find out more. But then she opened up to the processes and ideas and personalities of Hogwarts. And so some years ago, I went to a conference, and there was a woman who had a breakout session in the conference, and when I read about it, the title caught my attention. And within the title was the indication that she was going to explore, how a mystic like, say, Jesus came up with his ideas. And I thought that was really interesting because, as you guys all know, most of you study all kinds of ideas. You know that in terms of Buddhism, we get a good shot of Siddhartha. We know what he went through. And a lot of the other mystics, Martin Luther King, we understand what he went through in terms of the education he received, the fact that he was born into the idea of being a pastor, a minister. He was born into a strong religious tradition. And then he had the shapings of civil rights leaders and what was going on at the time. But for Jesus is a little bit of an enigma. We don't know too much about him on the surface. But the great thing about this breakout that I went to that was so powerful to me, and I've always carried it with me, was the woman who did it said, I understand what Holmes is saying about the mystic is the one who seems to have some ability to figure things out that none of the rest of us have. But she said, in our tradition, we talk about the idea that, the great mystics are examples, not exceptions. And she said, a lot of times and this could be on us, but we interpret that idea that someone has this power as they're an exception, and how could I possibly be that way? And that's the thing I love about Holmes and about our teaching, because it's so democratic. It's basically, we can all do these things. And so what's that mean, right? And so she presented she talked to us about two influences that we know that Jesus was open to at the time, even though the Bible is really sketchy in terms of really where he came from. We don't know much about his life day in and day out, but yet at some point we do. So she came forward with two ideas, and I'm going to throw a third one in there that I have cooked up sort of on my own, but not entirely, because this is other stuff I've read. And so we think about the idea, and the first one that I'm going to bring forward is actually the one that I sort of came up with on my own, along with some other writings, because I don't think I'm a mystic. So anyway, I want us to think about the idea of what was going on in terms of the world at the time that Jesus was walking around. And I want to talk about the idea of the Silk Road. The Silk Road ran between the 2nd century BCE to the 15th century AD. So that's right in the wheelhouse of Jesus's life, a small portion of that he was around. It was definitely in the wheelhouse of sort of the beginnings of where his ideas began to spread. And so the details of the Silk Road was an ancient network of Euro-Asia trade spanning over 4,000 miles from the interior of China to the Mediterranean, passing through Central Asia, India, and the Middle East. Jesus would have lived on a secondary route. So he wouldn't have been on a primary route, but if you look at the Silk Road, if you ever go online and look at the map of what the Silk Road is, you see the main arteries and you see all kinds of branches out there. And if you kind of know where Jesus was living, you see that there are all kinds of small branches that move through there. So basically, what is the Silk Road? It's a road of travel of goods and services back and forth. And so these merchants were taking things from the east and going to the Mediterranean, and from the Mediterranean going to the east, and they're moving through with all kinds of of herbs and all kinds of textiles and all kinds of other trade that they had, pottery and so forth. But this is what they also moved through with. And they also moved technology, and they talk about paper and gunpowder and things like that. But this is also what they had: cultural exchange and religious concepts, overviews, theologies, Buddhism, Taoism, Confucian, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, and all the folk traditions along the way. Imagine that. Imagine these people who their job, their vocation, their profession was to be the people of the Silk Road, that human train of goods and services that were going back and forth through all kinds of territories, all kinds of political structures, all kinds of religious ideas. And they would come into marketplaces. And as they're haggling over the goods and as they're trading, somewhere along the line, they would get caught up in stories of what people had encountered or where they came from. And pretty soon the topics maybe of religion would come up, and all of a sudden there'd be these exchanges of ideas. What's the meaning of life? And what is the afterlife? And what is our connection to something higher? What is our connection to spirit or God or whatever it is, or law? Imagine those conversations. And someone like Jesus, who was like, here in mine, whatever her name is, can you imagine that he's just open? He's just open to taking all of this in. And he wants to question it. And the New Testament gives us little snippets about him, like being a child and him talking to the rabbis and things like that in the temple. And he was having a discussion and an argument with them. And so we know that there was this part of him. And there was this part of him who was hanging out with people like the fishermen and the other people in his own personal world. The working people, the people who were interested in the goods and services that the Silk Road was producing. And they were merchants, and they were business people, and they were entrepreneurs. They were people who were thinking. They were commoners. They were what we would call today blue-collar workers, laborers. And they were intrigued. This was their way of having the whole world open up to him. And he was excited about this, and he was interested. We know that he was sort of wired that way. He was curious. He was spiritual by nature. He was looking for more. And imagine all the ideas that came forward. Because what's really interesting, if you look at the Bible and you see the Old Testament and you see the New Testament, there is a divide where they seem like they're two different worlds. The Old Testament with all of the thick tribal law and the fire and brimstone, and it's almost like it's a Greek tragedy in some places, except for Psalms, which is these beautiful poems. We don't know why they're there, but we're glad they're there, right? Okay. And so then all of a sudden we have this transformation into the New Testament, and there are times where if you look deep enough into the literature, you almost feel like you're listening to Siddhartha or Lao Tzu or somebody like that. And we wonder, where did this come from? He was hearing it in the marketplace. He was hearing it among these people who were traveling around. And so the difference between one of the things that made him special as a mystic was that he absorbed that information. He took that information and distilled it down within him. He thought about it. He talked about it. He argued about it. He disagreed with it. He agreed with it. He came to terms with it. And he opened himself up to the idea of moving beyond the purely Old Testament Jewish ideas into something maybe larger and something more incredible. And so now I want to get into this breakout that this woman did, and the two that she came up with, which is really interesting. Now, one of them, we have to really look hard in the Bible to see the existence of this. However, I would argue, and she made a good case, that this was probably the most important factor in terms of his life. And in terms of both of those, I put them under the heading of under-recognized voices for the time. Under-recognized voices for the time. And the first one is women. How do we know that he was so open in the New Testament to what women thought? What about his relationship with Mary Magdalene and Mary Magdalene's sister? and how the other apostles really didn't like that relationship and felt that he leaned on her spiritually and culturally a little bit too much. So this is what she talked about, and she said the reason that the scripture is underserved on this, and it was so much a part of his life, is because the very first places of his ministry were within Jewish homes. They were the first churches. The Jewish home is the domain of women, okay? Within the traditional ancient Jewish house, the wife and mother were recognized as the mainstay or foundation of the home, a sacred central space. The men were not in charge of the sacred central space. The women were, traditionally holding the primary responsibility for curating the spiritual atmosphere. Not men, women, the spiritual atmosphere. Managing the household customs, rituals, and attitudes, family purity and structure, hospitality, children's education, etc. So we look at this incredible figure, this mystic. Let you who are without sin cast the first stone. Is that a masculine idea? No, it's not. That's a feminine idea. The idea of his relationship with Peter, which is so sweet. And we'll just take the one where, they're out there in the ocean and things are rocking and rolling, and Jesus decides to walk on out there to the boat, right? And Peter is just like blown away at this, like, oh my God. And he comes up and he approaches the boat, and the waves are going like this. And so Jesus is bobbing up and down. And he says to Peter, hey, come on out here, man. If you have faith, come out here. And so Peter, okay, I've got me some faith. I'm strong. I'm not smart, but I'm strong. Okay. And so he steps out there and he does okay for a while. And then he sinks down because he breaks his attention. He becomes overwhelmed by the storm, the atmosphere. And so he begins to falter. Jesus grabs him, puts him back in the boat. He doesn't chastise him, doesn't slap him around, doesn't throw him overboard. He has compassion. He cares about him. He nurtures him. In fact, all the mishaps of Peter, and there's a lot of them listed, look at the way he shows up with compassion, with understanding. That's from the place of women. That's how he probably rolled with his disciples and apostles. And we also know that, by the way, those 12 people were, I guess the primary, according to the scripture at that time, which was very, let's put it bluntly, it was influenced by the patriarchy. But he could have very well been surrounded by many more women than he was men. And so when you look at this person who, to the very end of his life, the way that the story goes, the way that this like, think of it as Shakespearean literature that comes down through the ages to us, the mythology, the folklore, right, of his crucifixion. And everyone's saying, call down the wrath of God on all these Romans. He says, no, I forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's not a masculine approach. That's a feminine approach. And so she made this argument, and it was like, it was so mesmerizing. And then the last one, in terms of under-recognized voices for the time, are children. And we know there's a quote in the Bible that says, he says, have the little children come unto me. First of all, can you imagine something that would be something a mother would say, right? Yeah, let's have the little children come unto me. Now, being raised in Christianity, I was always taught that he brought them in to teach them. But she said, I wonder if he brought them forward to teach him. And so when we look at the children's spiritual wisdom and insights in terms of spirituality, this is what children represent spiritually, or what they can teach us. An innate capacity for wonder. Radical presence. I love that. Radical presence. What's that mean? I'm present. I'm here. I'm all here. You know, I might have a bowl of Cheerios, but I'm on you. I'm looking at you, right? Deep empathy and compassion, a lack of religious doctrines or contradictions. Jesus was a representation of breaking from the old ways that came out of the Old Testament. And how we know this is they talked to him about the 10 Commandments. And he said, which one did he say was the most important? Love. That's it, right? Where did he get that from? Love. Children. And deep connections to the interconnectedness of life. You ever watch the kid chase a butterfly in the backyard? They hold it there and they name it. And they're looking at it. And they're wondering if it's looking at them. And they try and get it to fly. And they try and follow it around. Children understand the interconnectedness of everything. Is this on? Okay, let's come back. Over there. All right. Okay, you got me? All right. There I am. Charlton Heston. Okay. So if we look at this person, this mystic, and use this mystic again as an archetype, and we know that there are countless known and unknown mystics, historically speaking, except for those that they influence, throughout nature, throughout humanity, that have been on this globe forever. But if we use him as an archetype, we understand that there's this idea of beginning to pull in all of the larger ideas that are represented in all of our different cultures and ideas. And I know that, you know, we are concerned nowadays with cultural appropriation. And I think that we always have to show the utmost respect for all the cultures, especially a teaching like ours, because we harvest from a lot of cultures. We harvest from all the ideas, the teachings, the philosophical ideas, the notions, the theologies, all of that. And you guys know that. You take the classes. I know that you're a bunch of readers. We all are who are in this teaching. And we take this all in. But I think that also what this says to me in both instances is that, and I'm a little bit concerned because of the way that we are turning so much into the electronic world, and especially with AI and everything. I think there's something to be said for being able to absorb what's around us, to be able to absorb, you know, what's going on within our culture and other cultures, what's going on with those voices that sometimes are not heard, what's going on with the emerging voices, the voices of women, the voices of children, which are both emerging voices in our society and our culture today. And, you know, like everyone else in the topic that we're, you know, Centers for Spiritual Living is really into this year is open at the top. And I think that our founder, Earnest Holmes, by being the human question mark that he was, by being the avid reader he was, by being open to a lot of ideas like he was, I think he's an example of that. But I think that we owe it to ourselves to look deeply at the mystics as not beyond their humanity, but into their humanity, and what it was like for them to sit in the midst of others and be able to have a conversation. I think Open at the Top has become very profound for our time because we are obviously aware that we are starting to separate into our bubbles and into our closed off areas of thinking. And we can surround ourselves with whatever media we want, whatever people we want, whatever teachings we want. But is there a larger place for us to evolve? Because that's the other part about the great mystics was their evolutionary characters. I love the fact that Martin Luther King, as a Southern Baptist, was so heavily influenced by Gandhi. That's amazing to me. And King was just completely open to what Gandhi had to say. He didn't argue with it. He didn't take exception to it. He used it. And so I think that this idea of being open at the top has maybe never been so important as it is right now in terms of our movement, to be open to everything that's coming at us and to step into, you know, I think that sometimes we hear this idea of these interfaith and all this stuff. It's kind of like, oh yeah, there's an interfaith meeting next week. I'm going to go to that. We're going to have a potluck, and I really like the way they make their stew and stuff like that. But in terms of really listening to them, in terms of really hearing them, in terms of being engaged, in terms of being present, in terms of being able to find our own backbone and be able to state our own ideas in a way that's non-offensive. And so, anyway, thank you for today. I really appreciate it. So why don't we put a prayer on the end of this thing? All right. Thank you so much. Okay. So I invite you to come into prayerful consciousness. And if you can, place your feet on the floor and imagine being plugged into this earth. We are people of the earth and we are people of the stars. And so we want to ground ourselves in the earth and we want to ground ourselves in the heavenly realms. And so, as we come together this morning, I am so grateful, first and foremost, that God is truly all there is and that we are an intricate and intimate part of God and God in us. And today I think about the idea of what does the world need now? What the world needs now is engagement, openness, conversation, a spiritual conversation, a conversation of mysticism, a conversation of healing, a conversation of divine right action, as it's brought forward through all the voices and traditions the world over. That we need to see each other, everyone that we see, as a child of spirit who is inhabiting the same journey that we are. And I'm so grateful to be part of a tradition that I believe carries these ideals as the foundation of this teaching. An incredible teacher named Earnest Holmes who put this all together, and all of the incredible mystics who influence all of us as we live our lives. And so in my gratitude for this, I let my word go knowing that it's so, and so it is. All right. Thank you so much.
So there'll be a sing-along part for you if you feel like standing up and moving, you're free. You're free to feel the spirit.
Let there be peace in my land. Let there be peace on the earth. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. 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 Oh, peace inside my mind, God, and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind, God, and only God I live to see. Peace inside my mind, God, and only God is moving me. Peace inside my mind, God, and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om.
Peace inside my heart, God, and only God is moving me. Peace inside my heart, God, and only God I live to see. Peace inside my heart, and only God is moving me. Peace inside my heart, God, and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om.
Peace inside the earth, God, and only God is moving me. Peace inside the earth, God, and only God I live to see. Peace inside the earth, God, and only God is moving me. Peace inside the earth, God, and only God I live to see. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Shanti, Om. 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 When there is peace in my mind, there will be peace in the earth.
I'd like to invite the ushers forward, and thank you so much, 360 Band. You guys are great. And thank you, Reverend Andy. That was a beautiful talk. It meant a lot to me. It really inspired me. Thank you. So I do want to remind everyone that we do have the social hall afterwards. So if you want to grab a snack before coming back in or taking the workshop, that would be great. And then also for prayer support, we have Christine and Dr. Mary available and myself. So right after service up here at the podium. So we're going to move into our offertory, and if you can just join with me in knowing that our offering is from the heart, from our soul, from our deepest place, in gratitude for this center, for the teaching, and for all that happens in this beautiful space. So your support is blessed so deeply, and so it is.
Love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Yep. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. It's just like a magic penny, hold it tight and you won't have any. Lend it, spend it, you'll have so many, they roll all over the floor. For love is something if you give it away, give it away, give it away. Love is something if you give it away, you end up having more. Money is dandy and we like to use it. Love is better if you don't refuse it. It's a treasure and you'll never lose it unless you lock up your door. For love is something if you give it away. You give it away. You give it away. Love is something if you give it away. You end up having more. Let's go dance until the break of day. And if there's a piper, you can pay. For love is something if you give it away. You end up having more. Oh, love is something if you give it away. Give it away. Give it away. Love is something if you give it away. You end up having more.
That's a perfect song for abundance. Abundance is what we have here at this center, not only with your heart and your seva and your time, but also with your financial support for the center. So giving great thanks, knowing that as you give, you shall receive. And together we say, and so it is. So we're going to have another song by the 360 Band, and then we'll have our peace song. And so enjoy the rest of your day after that.
Here's a song from the Summer of Love.
It never goes
Back
out.
a few years ago.
Never goes out.
No. Oh, love is but a song we sing, and fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, or hear the angels cry, and know the dove is on the wing. You may not know why. Come on, people now. Smile on each other, everybody get together and love one another right now. Oh, some will come and some will go, and we shall surely pass. When the one who left us here returns for us at last, we are like a moment's sunlight sparkling on the grass. Come on, people now. Smile on each other, everybody get together and love one another right now. So if you hear the song I sing, you will understand. Listen. You hold the key to love and fear. holding your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together and love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together and love one another right now. Oh, right now. Right now. Come on, people now, smile on each other. Everybody get together and love one another right now. Oh, yeah, love one another right now. Yes, love one another right now.
Up you go, and we'll sing the peace song.
Yes.
Let there be peace on earth,
and let it begin with thee. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our one source, united all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with thee. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternal.